This is the final resting place for every human being. Throughout history, almost all societies have employed different practices for disposing of and commemorating the dead. The dignity of the dead is paramount in almost all religions.
The Christian understanding about life and death is that life is the beginning to death, and death is the beginning to life. That is the summary of our theology of human existence, because our central belief and faith is in the resurrection. And so therefore, the terminal end of the physical corpse is not the end of existence. It's not the end of God living in you. And so we have an obligation and we have a responsibility to maintain that love and dignity even for the dead.
Even though religions vary in beliefs and practices, they all have one thing in common, which is respect for the dead. There has been reports of unscrupulous people entering into cemeteries and breaking graves in the early hours of the morning to exhume bodies for black magic or rituals. The Islamic religion kicks against that practice.
Islamically speaking, that is a sacrilegious act of such people, and Islam kicks against black magic. So for such inhuman act from people to exhume bodies of people is totally condemned by Islam.
This is the King Tom Cemetery, one of the largest cemeteries in the country. Grave diggers are busy constructing a grave for someone who had died weeks ago. It is obvious that this newly dug grave will be forcefully opened and left unattended. This sacrilege act of unknown people breaking into cemeteries started months back.
So we don't get so many reports there during last year or before the election. That's what they get them problem that day. People don't build them vaults where they don't pay 3 million or 2.5. Bad people they come, who can put them vaults there. Only know what in the 1,600 vaults there.
This is not only happening at the King Tom Cemetery. The Ascension Town Cemetery has also experienced similar break-ins by unknown people.
Well, actually, it can be. At times, so it can be. One can take notice of them, but so the family members can come, and then can not say yes. So thing will happen with them graves, right? Because like who come, we not go say we work all sign at the cemetery. No, we get people that work for attention at the office.
When the media started reporting on these strange happenings in 2 cemeteries in Freetown, nothing was done by the Freetown City Council, nor the police to secure the cemeteries or to find out why this is happening, or even apprehend culprits. It was when the former First Lady's mother's grave was tampered with that it captured the attention of the police.
Yeah, this is one of the graves. You don't fall, start vandalizing. We are from a First Lady. It's a mama grave.
Okay.
So you can't one night tell you say the number come. So for the First Lady, former First Lady, and then you roll, we not see the security personnel there, and then we kill somebody and next week they make an attempt for cancer cemetery. But by then, instead of making them maintain the security personnel there, what them do that they will go there all. And since when we go there, and the booking of graves don't start back. And up to as I talk to you now, people they still book graves.
Now the break-in here actually starts at around 1 or 2 a.m. Now this grave, which is the former First Lady's mom, was also vandalized before. Now there was security personnel here in the cemetery, but as soon as they left, it started all over again. And according to the clerk and even a volunteer here at the King Tom Cemetery, people breaking into the cemetery despite when there is a gate. This is a serious concern for people who have relatives who are actually buried here. Now, as you can see, it's also difficult for even the grave diggers to even find a location for someone who is going to be buried here. And I'm told there are poisonous snakes around, and it's so difficult for them to actually work. And also, the Freetown City Council only cleans the cemetery for once in a year.
The police was forced to keep watch on this particular grave.
that matter was reported, and what we did was we sort of deployed, I call our OSD officer there, and then the guys who were coming to that place never knew that we had gone ahead to deploy somebody there, and they attempted a second try, and they went there again, and then the guy was unlucky, was gunned down, was killed, and that was the loss to the police.
This has been a worrying situation for people who have loved ones buried in such a place. Dr. Sheku Alfred is just coming into the country and is devastated by the state of the cemetery.
Why I go to the extent of spending extra for do all this now because of which I can sit in the camp, brick, graveyard, stick people in body, take coffin and what have you. And years back, people respect the dead. Why do they do that? But I think we've taken that it's like free for all. People come to the graveyard. Look at me. Look around. All over grass.
Adam Asamoah's aunt died a year ago, and she can't even get close to the grave because of the high grass.
Now my granny in Peking died, so we come watch the cemetery. We come watch the place, how the place is. Even if you want to go to the place, you know they will before pastor go inside because the place too bushy. So they appeal to the government. They help the youth man for me them they help them, for me they clean, me they give them tools there because they say they know the tools there. You don't see, so they really try for help them.
All fingers are pointing at the Freetown City Council, which is responsible for the upkeep of the Freetown cemeteries.
I think what I can say is that I'm sorry that our cemeteries are in the poor state they are, and I'm committed to making sure. I've been in office 6.5 months. We've been doing a lot of things, but we haven't focused on the cemeteries, and we need to do that now.
These young men have assumed the role of the Freetown City Council. People now prefer to give them little token to help keep the grave of their loved ones clean and tidy.
Like we person can clean graves. Not so like we need some plans with people now what you want give now what you can give now put so to one it's guy forget cutlass, it's guy forget shovel, buy rake, then the African left we buy yes, if you have bag yes, we the work now we cook, now we use we cook. Now we not get support from north side.
For the Ascension Town Cemetery, neighbors use it as a dump site, and because some areas are not fenced, it makes it easy for unknown persons to access the cemetery and damage graves looking for something they only know.
Of what essence is the part of a dead body? To me, particularly, it does not appeal to me for any concussion, for any success. Why go and exhume the grave? Why leave the dead to rest unto eternity? By so doing, you are causing the wrath of Allah, the anger of Allah to come on the nation, which is bad.
Some Sierra Leoneans have rumored that body parts are used for ritual purposes, a practice which is considered to be demonic. Religion fiercely frowns at this type of practice.
This is very, very unfortunate and very sad, and I believe it's even tantamount to give us a cause as a nation, because it's unacceptable, and therefore I've been calling on religious leaders, both Christians and Muslims, to meet and come out with a very strong statement, because all of the religions here have great respect and dignity for the dead, and when we see that violated, it's our obligation, first of all, as religious leaders. Our task is to be the voice of the voiceless, and certainly the dead are not speaking, and so it's fall within the ambit of our role as religious leaders to speak out against this insane kind of act that is going on. For whatever reasons that they are posing, it's unacceptable. We should stand up and speak about it.
The gravest punishment is for those who associate God with other God. For those who do such fictitious business, they have the gravest punishment in the day of accountability.
There are, however, instances of when a body should be exhumed from the grave.
Traditionally, there is what we call reburial. If there is a circumstance, say there's war, or the circumstances doesn't prevail that the burial should take place where it's appropriate, temporarily they could bury and then they remove. There are also investigations that are carried out, and after many years they want to examine for those are the few exemptions. Otherwise, at the conclusion of our prayers in the cemetery, the last words are rest in peace, and therefore no disturbance.
This is the Murraytown Cemetery. You can only tell it is a cemetery if you walk closer. It has been swallowed by the tall grass covering most of the graves. A sight which the living cannot bear to see and stay long, let alone the dead. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development oversees the work of the council. As many fingers are pointing at the Freetown City Council, the ministry thinks the council is incapable and too slow in the discharge of their duties.
The cleaning of the cemetery is not as good as we're expecting, because if you go across the country, some cemeteries are still bushy. Really, it was discussed in passing, but no memo from this ministry really has been written to the councils, specifically spelling out to make sure cemeteries are cleaned up. But I think the coming year we have to make it mandatory that at least cemeteries should be cleaned either thrice or 4 times a year.
Lack of funds to manage the cemeteries seem to be the paramount issue at hand. In Sierra Leone, public buildings are not properly taken care of. This is supposed to be the offices of the clerks of the different cemeteries in the municipality. They all seem to be in a bad state. What can be done to help salvage the situation of people breaking into cemeteries?
When those things, those calamities we occur, it may befall everyone, and therefore we should not wait until that. We, as religious leaders, should come ask, first of all, state authorities to take measures so that we prevent such a diabolic act in our country.
For such inhuman act from people to exhume bodies of people, for fictitious, or to use that as money finding, act is totally condemned by Islam, and I think the authorities concerned must legislate very strong rules and regulations, and of course prescribe appropriate punishments for such act.
The Freetown City Council also has plans to beautify the cemetery.
So when we put the fences in and we put the gates in, that will naturally be addressed, because it just restricts access. At the moment they're just free for all, open, many of them. We have some exceptions. Murraytown, we're taking a step at a time, but we haven't forgotten the cemeteries, and we're going to make sure that we have a different story to tell next December.
These young men think they should be employed by the Freetown City Council to help beautify the cemeteries.
We believe in this cemetery, if the handle and give us get the support of the council and the government, we will do changes now. Big changes will take place here. We know we council can own the cemetery. We know we can government not tell your council not tell you, so you can sleep here and net. In case security patrolling the pass, anything here and net, other put you there. We not go no answer for answer. Say na so person put me now. We not go take compromise. We say we for can secure without the government. No. We not going to do that.
They have now upgraded themselves by building plaques where they earn a little sum to keep themselves busy.
So now the tablets. Then like I will inside this now where we prepare them. I will prepare them. This now the finished products and this. And then I the unfinished one there. This week is this bag, this now marble. Yes, we will ban to really Lebanese. This now the marble. This this now we will do this now. Computer and we will computerize and exactly before we can do it. So now.
Even the leadership of the Traditional Healers Union say they have a solution to the people who use body parts of dead people for rituals.
I have told you that this is the newly appointed president of Traditional Healers Association under the regime of Dr. Munir Sandi. We are going to see that this thing stopped. It will stop. I cannot see any reason where you have a settlement in which you have the president of Traditional Healers Association or union or whatever, where he stays and sees these things happening. And that is why we are fighting hard to fight our case through parliament. The moment we succeed, you will see that sanity will come to Sierra Leone. Most of the TV, these ones will stop. We have people amongst us. When thieves come and break into any apartment, we have people who would come, perform, the thieves would come and confess. Definitely, coming along with the loot they took away. That is what we are going to bent upon.
The grass in cemeteries, I'm told, grows faster than anywhere. So that's why it needs to be cleaned regularly. And the number of staff increased to be able to manage the cemeteries. People wish our cemeteries would eventually look like this, or even better.